Alisha had always hated waiting. Waiting for people, waiting for answers, waiting for life to give her something meaningful. But tonight, as she sat in the corner of the softly lit cafe, waiting felt worse than usual. It felt personal, the kind of personal that sank into her chest like a quiet disappointment she didn't want to admit. The cafe was warm and cozy, full of gentle chatter, clinking cups, and the smell of roasted coffee beans. Yet she felt strangely isolated, as if she were the only one who didn't belong. Her fingers wrapped around her now cold cappuccino, tracing the edge of the cup just to keep her hands busy. The foam had vanished long ago. She glanced at her phone again. No message, no call, no running late, nothing. Her friend Sana had hyped this blind date too much, making Alisha believe it might actually be different. He's not like the others, Sana had promised. He's serious, he's stable, he's looking for something real. For once, Alisha had allowed herself to hope, even though hope always scared her. Hope was fragile, hope broke easily, but now, 2 hours later, she wondered if she had been foolish. The waiter approached her table again, wearing that polite smile that tried and failed to hide pity. "Mom, are you still waiting?" She swallowed the lump in her throat. "Yes, just a little longer." He nodded and stepped away, leaving her to sit with her embarrassment. She could almost hear the silent whispers around her. Look at the girl who got stood up. She hated that thought. She hated that it hurt. Maybe he saw her picture and didn't like how she looked. Seen worse. Maybe he changed his mind last minute. Maybe he found someone better. The thoughts spiraled because her insecurities always did that. They turned tiny doubts into loud truths. She exhaled shakily and looked out the window. Night had settled in, streetlights glowing over the quiet road. Couples walked by hand in hand. Laughter echoed faintly from the next table. Life was moving on, and yet she felt stuck, waiting for a man who hadn't cared enough to send even a message. She picked up her bag, ready to leave. Enough humiliation for one night. But just as she started to rise, the bell above the door chimed, a soft, familiar sound she had heard several times that evening. She glanced instinctively toward the entrance, and froze. A tall man stepped inside, brushing cold air off his coat. He looked nothing like the man her friends had described. This one was older, maybe early 30s, with a sharply structured face and eyes that held a kind of quiet intensity. His dark charcoal coat, slightly damp at the edges, looked expensive, professional, refined. His presence carried a calm confidence that immediately drew attention. He scanned the room, and when his gaze locked on her, he didn't look away. Instead, he started walking toward her, deliberate, steady, as though he was certain she was the person he'd come for. Her breath caught, her heart quickened with nervous confusion. He stopped in front of her table. "Are you Alisha?" he asked, his tone warm but serious. She nodded slowly. "Yes, and you are." He hesitated, as if choosing his words mattered. "My name is Ayan." Then, more softly, "I'm not the man you were supposed to meet tonight." Confusion sharpened inside her. "Then why are you here?" He pulled out the chair opposite her but didn't sit yet. He looked at her with something like regret, something heavy and unsaid. "Because the man you were supposed to meet isn't coming." Her stomach dropped. So she had been right. She had been stood up. She tried to hide the tremble in her voice. "He ditched me." Ayan's expression tightened, and he shook his head quickly. "No, it's not like that." "Then what is it?" she whispered, feeling anger and humiliation twist in her chest. This time he finally sat, leaning forward slightly. His voice softened. "He's in the hospital. There was an accident, about an hour before he was supposed to meet you." Alisha felt her breath catch. "An accident?" Ayan nodded. "A car hit his bike. He's stable now, but he asked me to come here immediately. He didn't want you waiting with no explanation." Her shoulders sagged with a sharp mixture of relief, shock, and guilt. All her ugly thoughts, all the assumptions she had made, they suddenly felt cruel. I didn't know," she murmured. "You couldn't have." His voice was steady in a way that felt strangely comforting. But he kept insisting. Even in pain, he kept saying, "Please, don't let her think I didn't care." Her throat tightened, eyes burning unexpectedly. She looked down at her hands, embarrassed at how emotional she suddenly felt. "I thought he just wasn't interested," she admitted quietly. Ayan studied her for a moment. There was no judgment in his gaze, only understanding. "You've probably been hurt before," he said gently. She didn't respond, but he didn't need her to. It was written all over her earlier expression. A brief silence settled between them. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It felt strangely safe, almost grounding, like his presence alone steadied the room. Then he cleared his throat slightly. "If you want, I can take you to see him. He's awake now. The doctors said he'll recover." Her eyes widened. "He wants to meet me now." Ayan nodded. "He asked for you." Alisha stared at him, her mind spinning. She had come tonight for a simple blind date. A chance, a maybe. But now she was being asked to go to a hospital and meet the man in circumstances she never imagined. Part of her hesitated. This was sudden, overwhelming, emotionally heavy. But another part of her, the part that had hoped, the part that still wanted something real, whispered that walking away now would feel wrong. And then there was something else. Something she didn't want to acknowledge. Ayan, the way he spoke, the way he looked at her, the quiet sense of responsibility in his voice, it all unsettled her in a way she didn't expect. His presence made her heart beat differently, not wildly, but deeply. She had come for his brother. But something about Ayan made her feel seen in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. Still, she pushed the feeling aside. This wasn't the time to think about it. She took a slow breath. "Yes, I want to see him." Ayan nodded, a hint of relief in his eyes. He stood and extended his hand to her, steady and respectful. "Let's go," he said softly. Alisha rose beside him, unaware that the walk she was about to take, toward a stranger in a hospital bed, would be the beginning of a story none of them could have imagined. And she had no idea that the real shock of the night wasn't the accident, nor the waiting. It was the man who had come to fetch her.